Hello friends, today we are going to talk about a political personality that created an ideology that was diametrically opposite to the then mainstream political ideology. Whether it is the Article 370 issue or the Partition of Bengal, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee has been invariably invoked, especially when crucial elections are around, as it happened in West Bengal recently. This has nothing to do with BJP's reverence for the founder of Bhartiya Jana Singh. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee was the founder of Bhartiya Jana Singh. But with that is today's BJP leaders' desire to show the Indian National Congress, especially Pundit Nehru, in an unfavourable light. In the West Bengal elections, the BJP had to walk a tightrope, balancing their craving for adopting Netaji and keep Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose and retaining Mukherjee as their political icon. The reason is historic. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee had no love lost for Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose because he was convinced that the latter, that is Netaji, had betrayed the Hindu cause. It is a well-known fact that the Hindu Mahasabha was opposed to the Quit India movement, which was launched in 1942 by Gandhiji. In a letter dated 26 July 1942 to the Governor of Bengal, Sir John Herbert, Mukherjee stated, and I quote, "Anybody who during the war plans to stir up mass feeling resulting in internal disturbance or insecurity must be resisted by any government that may function for the time being." Unquote. He swore to make every possible effort to defeat the Quit India movement in the province of Bengal. And ironically, when he had to resign from the Bengal government, which was a coalition government with Fazl-ul-Haq, the same Shyama Prasad Mukherjee described the policies of the British government towards the movement, Quit India movement, as repressive. After he quit as Congress president in 1939, Subhash Chandra Bose set up Forward Bloc, a pressure group within the Congress party. He participated in the Calcutta Corporation elections to demonstrate his popular support. He proposed to the Hindu Mahasabha to join hands against the Muslim League, but the negotiations broke down and the Mahasabha fought alone and won 50% of the total seats. Bose hit back by allying with the Muslim League and helping its member to become the city mayor. This shocked Mukherjee and he described this action as betrayal of the Hindu cause, and he never forgave Netaji. Well, anyway, Netaji soon left for abroad, never to return. Mukherjee's evolution as a politician and a Hindu nationalist has been quite fascinating. He started off as a member of the Indian National Congress but joined Hindu Mahasabha later on. He went on to become the founder of Bhartiya Jana Singh and was also a member of Nehru's first government. He was Independent India's first Minister for Industry and Supply. Before that, when he returned from England, after completing his education, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee opted for the career as educationist. At 33, he became the youngest ever Vice Chancellor of Calcutta University. However, in 1929, he was elected to the Legislative Assembly on the Congress ticket. In 1937, he fought the elections as an independent and won. Gradually, he started moving towards Hindu Mahasabha led by Savarkar. When he joined the coalition government led by Fazl-ul-Haq, he was the Home Minister in that coalition government. He protested British preference for Muslim candidates over more meritorious Hindu aspirants for government jobs. The British had been playing their diabolical divide and rule games for a long time. In his official note dated 6 December 1904, the Home Secretary to Government of India, Herbert Hope Risley, wrote, and I quote, Bengal united is a power. Bengal divided will pull in several different ways. One of our main objects is to split up and thereby to weaken a solid body of opponents to our rule. Unquote. On July 21, 1905, Viceroy George Curzon announced the partition of Bengal. Its primary aim was to divide the Hindu majority regions of West Bengal, Bihar and Odisha from Muslim dominated areas of Assam and Sylhet. This was seen as a deliberate attempt to divide the Bengalis and disrupt nationalism in Bengal. As the demand for reintegration refused to die down, the British eventually reunified Bengal 6 years later, but the seeds of India's partition were sowed by then. These seeds exploded in 1946 in the form of Noakhali bloodbath that set in motion India's blood-spattered division months later. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee was president of the Akhil Bhartiya Hindu Mahasabha between 1943 and 1946. His was one of the strongest voices to have opposed the United Bengal plan of the Bengal Provincial Muslim League leader and Prime Minister of Bengal H.S. Sohrawardy. As per that plan, Bengal would be a separate nation which would be independent from both India and Pakistan. If the Bengali Hindus opposed the 1905 partition of Bengal, they now demanded division of Bengal on communal lines. The communal battles that had started in 1905 reached their peak by 1947. But there was also the fact that Bengal politics had changed dramatically in 1932 with the introduction of the communal award. It gave more seats in the Legislative Council to Muslims than to Hindus. It also provided separate electorates for the Dalits. Bengali Hindus ceased to be as significant and visible in provincial politics as they were before. Hindu leaders suspected these steps to be aimed at crushing them. As a result, in February 1947, the Hindu Mahasabha under Mukherjee put forward the demand for dividing Bengal on religious grounds. In a letter to Viceroy Mountbatten, Mukherjee argued, if ever an impartial survey is made of Bengal's administration in the last 10 years, it will appear that Hindus have suffered not only on account of communal riots and disturbance, but in every sphere of national activities, educational, economic, political, and even religious. Unquote. He further argued that the idea of a united Bengal was not appealing because he believed that a sovereign, undivided Bengal would be a virtual Pakistan. Although today's right-wing politicians love to portray Shyama Prasad Mukherjee as a staunch opponent of Article 370, the truth is otherwise. His opposition to the article was actually an afterthought. There is enough historical evidence to established that Sardar Patel was one of the architects of Article 370 and Mukherjee had approved it unreservedly. This is corroborated by what Jitendra Singh, BJP's JNK spokesperson, had said in recent times. And I quote him, "The late leader had suggested to the first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru to put a time-bound rider on Article 370 and to specify for how long it was being envisaged." Unquote. Further, Balraj Puri, the veteran journalist, had written in an article, and I quote him, "Shyama Prasad's prolonged triangular correspondence with Nehru and Sheikh Abdullah on the status of the state, which, that is Kashmir state, JNK, which was published at that time by the party, is the most authentic evidence of his stand on the issue. For instance, in his letter dated 9 January 1953 to both of them, he wrote, 'We would readily agree to treat the valley with Sheikh Abdullah as the head in any special manner and for such time as he would like, but Jammu and Ladakh must be fully integrated with India.' Unquote. Mukherjee, in a letter to Nehru dated February 17, 1953, had suggested, and I quote him, "Both parties reiterate that the unity of the state will be maintained and that the principle of autonomy will apply to the province of Jammu and also to Ladakh and Kashmir Valley. Implementation of Delhi Agreement, which granted special status to the state, will be made at the next session of Jammu and Kashmir Constituent Assembly." Obviously, political compulsions had forced Shyama Prasad Mukherjee to change his stand on Article 370. Earlier he had approved it, now he was opposing it. Despite some apparent contradictions in his political stances, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee was an extraordinary leader. He remained steadfast on his ideological standpoint, well educated, articulate, and with a vision that differed from that of the dominant nationalist leaders like Nehru, Gandhi, and Patel. He was a product of the pulsating Bengal politics of 1930s and 40s. Mukherjee concretized an ideological alternative to that of the Indian National Congress. Thank you for being with me so long. I'll come back with another episode. Bye till then.